I would ask you, what is the single biggest security risk that you see at this moment?
I got to say, it's the overall kind of degrading information environment and the kind of the incentive structures that are in place to continue to push these fantastical claims about the election system itself and just politics in general right now. It's not great on Capitol Hill, as you're seeing the various pieces of legislation break down that are absolutely critically important for security and safety across the globe. And these are being exploited by state adversaries, Russia, China, and Iran.
So who do you think is doing this? For example, I'm just going to throw one out. This was the voice robocalls that we heard about with the Biden situation in New Hampshire. Do you think that was state actors? I think someone said it was happening out of Texas or something.
Yes.
You know, how are these things happening?
I think when you step back, there are likely three sets of focused actors that we need to be thinking about. First is, as I've already mentioned, state security services. Again, Russia, China, Iran, and a handful of others. Then you're going to have domestic political groups that are doing what they've always done, electioneering and propaganda and really FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Then I think we do have an emerging group of domestic actors that are less on the political, grifting side and more on seeking to just undermine and upend confidence in public institutions. And that last bit is probably the second group I'm most worried about. And when I talk to federal government officials, when I talk to state election officials, the number one request for assistance they have is on physical security threats. There have been an increase in swatting attacks against federal and state election officials. There's been a rash of doxing, putting public information out there. And there's a lot of concern over these physical attacks and threats to election workers. There's actually undermined or limited the interest of people to come and actually participate as election volunteers or election officials. And that in and of itself, I think, is going to have an impact on Election Day and the availability of polling locations.
Hey, Chris, there's still this undercurrent. I saw a poll about, they talked about how many people said that as far as mail-in voting in the 2020 election, that they had done some things that weren't totally above board. And we know it was coming out of COVID. So maybe we didn't have the safeguards because we needed to do it. So I just Googled it again. Okay, so we got Bipartisan Policy Center. Mail voting is safe and secure. Right below that from the Heritage Foundation. We should not be promoting voting by mail. We're going to hear about this again in 2024, this year. What is the current state of voting by mail? How much is there going to be? Is it totally... Can we trust it completely?
I think there's going to be a high amount of voting by mail, just like there was in 2020. Perhaps not as much. I mean, again, that was, as you pointed out, really driven by COVID and the fact that people were concerned about gathering in public places and coming together and being in close contact. But I think as we've seen over the last several years, that maybe that's not as high of a concern. Plus, states are starting to go back into their regular or their voting administration process. But I would say that 2020, again, the most litigated, the most scrutinized, I could go on and on with the various ways the 2020 election's been looked at. And again, there has been no evidence to suggest that mail-in balloting was compromised or exploited to flip an election one way or the other.
But I just have one question. Do you think that we should be doing more to secure voting? Meaning, would you limit mail-in votes? Would you want to have some form of identification? Would you as someone who's in the security business, are there things that you would want to do that we don't do today that you think either are necessary or would maybe not necessary practically, but create a perception,
make people feel better,
that people would feel that it's a fairer and better and safer system?
Look, I think transparency is key. Every state that conducts mail-in balloting or any other sort of voting has to be open to the public as much as possible and provide transparency on what the processes are that they're using to verify signatures, for instance. Signature verification is key, but we also, again, have to keep moving towards as much paper ballot, voter verifiable paper audit trail where every vote has a paper ballot backup with it. But I'd also add that post-election pre-certification audits have to be the norm across every single state. We are moving that way, slower than I'd like. We're going to need federal support here. But what I can tell is that state election officials are ready, federal election officials are ready for the 2024 election. But it's going to be pretty sporty out there, and I think everybody needs to listen to their state and local election officials on what's really going on out there, not the randoms on X and other social media platforms.
Chris, we appreciate it. Nice to see you. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. We're coming right back after this. 2 big hours ahead.